The sun was high over the bustling Ojota market in Lagos, shining down on traders calling out prices, buses honking, and people rushing past like time itself was chasing them. But none of that was as loud, as shocking, or as unforgettable as what happened next. A man, clothed in filthy rags, with tangled grey hair, unkempt beard, and sunken eyes, stood near the fruit section of the market. His body wobbled as if he could collapse at any moment. His dry lips trembled as he spoke in a weak voice. "Please, just a little food. I haven't eaten in 2 days. I am starving." Some women laughed and hissed as they walked past. Others ignored him completely, not even sparing him a glance. But then he saw her. She was tall, stunning, with smooth caramel skin and bold red lipstick, dressed in tight blue jeans, a cream blouse, and carrying an expensive designer handbag. She walked with so much pride that even the ground seemed to respect her footsteps. The beggar moved toward her slowly, holding out his shaking hands. "Madam, please, just a little help. Even water will do. I'm dying." She stopped. For 1 second, the market paused. Even the impatient bus drivers seemed to take a breath. Then, slap! The sound was sharp and hard. It echoed across the street like a gunshot. The beggar's head spun to the side, and his legs gave way for a moment as he stumbled. The woman raised her voice with venom. "How dare you come near me? You lazy thing! Young men like you should be punished for being useless. Look at you, smelling like failure and disturbing decent people." The beggar blinked, dazed. He couldn't believe what just happened. His cheek burned from the slap. His shirt was now soaked. She had emptied a full bottle of water on his head. Still, he said nothing. He looked at her, hoping it was a mistake, hoping maybe she would feel some pity now. But she scoffed and walked closer, jabbing her finger into the air with each word. "Better watch who you walk up to with your lies. You think we don't know people like you? If you must know, I'm Monica Anderson, a senior data analyst at Benson Group of Companies. Tomorrow, I'll be meeting the new CEO, Mr. Benjamin. He's young, brilliant, and nothing like you." She shook her head with disgust, spat on the ground near his feet, and stormed off. The beggar stood frozen for a moment. His hands dropped to his side. He wasn't just stunned by the slap. He was stunned by what she had just said. Because he was Mr. Benjamin, the same Benjamin that inherited the Benson empire at age 35 after his father's death. The same Benjamin whose mother died giving birth to him. The same Benjamin who, just like his father before him, dressed as a beggar once every month to test people's kindness and change the lives of those who showed compassion. His heart sank. This was no longer just a random woman on the street. She worked in one of his top departments. He had never met her in person, but her name had crossed his desk before. Now, she had crossed a line. He touched his face gently where her hand had landed. The sting was still fresh. His security detail stood a few blocks away, pretending to be traders just in case something happened. He could signal them and have her picked up, exposed, shamed. But instead, he swallowed his anger. "Let's see what you'll do tomorrow," he whispered to himself, brushing the dirt off his trousers and slowly walking away. He had never felt this humiliated, not because of the pain in his face, but the cruelty in her heart. But something told him this was far from over. Monica Anderson had no idea the slap she delivered that morning would change her life forever. That evening, as she relaxed in her elegantly furnished mini-flat in Lekki, she poured herself a glass of chilled red wine and hummed along to the soft music playing from her Bluetooth speaker. She had just finished ironing her finest corporate outfit, a sleek black pencil skirt, a crisp white blouse, and her favorite pair of red heels that always made her feel powerful. Tomorrow, she was finally going to meet the new CEO of Benson Group, Benjamin Benson, the man who inherited the empire after his father died. All she had seen were newspaper headlines, company-wide memos, and stories whispered in hallways. Nobody had seen him physically, at least not those on the lower management level, but she had plans. Monica didn't just want to work at Benson Group, she wanted to be seen. And now that a young, single billionaire was at the helm, she believed it was her time to move from analyst to madam. In her mind, tomorrow wasn't just a meeting. It was a grand audition for her future as the wife of a billionaire. She stood in front of the mirror, practicing her smiles. "Good morning, sir. I've heard so much about you." "No, no. Too cold." "Good morning, Mr. Benjamin. May I say, it's an honor to finally meet you." Better." She touched up her makeup kit and sprayed her most expensive perfume, the one she reserved for special occasions. Meanwhile, across town, Benjamin stood by the glass window of his private suite in Victoria Island, overlooking the city lights. He had washed off the fake beard, taken off the dirty clothes, and returned to his true self. His clean-cut look, designer shirt, and Rolex now reflected the powerful man he truly was, but his heart was heavy. He kept replaying the moment over and over: the slap, the insult, the bottle of water, and then the bragging. Monica Anderson. He remembered the name now. He'd seen her profile a few weeks ago. Her resume was excellent, smart, sharp, but none of that could cover her attitude. He sighed and picked up his phone. "Get me the footage from this morning," he said to his head of security. "Yes, sir. Already compiling it. You'll have it tonight." The next morning, the sun rose bright and bold. Monica arrived at the Benson Group headquarters 45 minutes early. She looked like she had walked out of a fashion magazine. Heads turned as she strutted through the glass doors, holding her iPad and a file folder that she had filled with made-up reports, just in case she needed to impress. When the secretary ushered her into the CEO's office, Monica's breath caught in her throat. Benjamin Benson was more handsome than she imagined. Tall, brown-skinned, with a sharp jawline and a calm confidence that filled the room. His suit looked custom-made, and his eyes felt like they could read her soul. She gave her most charming smile. "Good morning, sir. I'm Monica Anderson. It's a pleasure to finally meet you." Benjamin returned a polite nod. "Have a seat." The meeting began. They talked numbers, projections, and team efficiency. Monica tried to keep her focus, but inside, her heart was dancing. Every now and then, she threw in a light laugh or touched her hair, small signals she believed would catch his interest. Then Benjamin leaned back. "I like to ask all department heads a personal question," he said casually. "Tell me, what's your view on helping the poor?" Monica's eyes lit up. She leaned forward. "Oh, I'm very passionate about it, sir. Very. I actually give away half my salary every month to beggars and the less privileged. I believe it's important to lift people up." Benjamin nodded slowly, without expression. "I see. And where do you usually give this money?" "Mostly street beggars. I feel their pain. I can't just walk past someone in need and not do something," she said sweetly. There was a pause. Then Benjamin reached for his tablet, tapped a button, and turned the screen around to face her. Monica's smile froze. There she was on camera, slapping the beggar in the market. There was no mistaking the voice, the pride, or the cruelty in her words. The footage played clearly, ending with her proudly shouting, "I'm Monica Anderson, a senior data analyst at Benson Group of Companies." Silence fell like a heavy brick. Monica's face turned pale. Her hands trembled. "Sir, that wasn't—" Benjamin cut her off. "That beggar," he said softly, "was me." Her jaw dropped. "I dress like that once a month to see how people treat strangers. I never expected one of my own staff to do what you did." Monica stood up immediately and dropped to her knees. "Sir, please. I didn't know. I'm so sorry. Please don't sack me. Please, I was having a bad day." Benjamin stood up too, but his voice remained calm. "Working here isn't just about numbers, Monica. It's about character, morals, who you are when no one is watching." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "Please, I'll change. I promise. Just give me another chance. Don't ruin me." But his mind was made up. "You're dismissed from this company with immediate effect." And just like that, Monica's dream shattered right in front of her. The news spread faster than wildfire. By 2 p.m. that day, every department in the Benson Group had heard about Monica's disgraceful exit. Some didn't believe it at first, until they saw the leaked security footage. One of their top data analysts, the Monica Anderson, had slapped the Billionaire CEO on the street, thinking he was a beggar. Twitter caught the story first, then TikTok. By evening, her name was trending across Nigeria. Monica the Slapper. Benjamin Benson betrayed. Street humility test fails. People dissected the video, frame by frame. Commentators online didn't hold back. Some mocked her. Others used her story to preach about kindness. And a few defended her, saying, how was she supposed to know? But none of that mattered now. Monica's perfect world was falling apart, brick by brick. She sat on the edge of her bed, her eyes swollen from crying. Her phones wouldn't stop ringing friends, ex-friends, bloggers, news reporters, and old classmates she hadn't spoken to in years. Her email inbox was exploding, not with interview requests or work offers, but with responses from companies she had applied to in the past year. They all said the same thing. After reviewing your recent behavior, we regret to inform you. She tried applying to new places, smaller companies, startups, NGOs, but the result was the same. Her name had become poison. No HR manager wanted to bring on someone whose reputation might attract trouble. Her landlord, who had once greeted her with smiles and called her Madam Monica, suddenly started sending warning messages about rent. No more delay, no more excuses, no sympathy. Monica felt the world closing in around her. Weeks passed. Her savings drained fast. She had never really planned for trouble. Her lifestyle had always been expensive. Clothes, perfumes, makeup, and flashy outings. She had always believed she'd rise fast enough in the company to afford it all. But now, with no job and no backup, reality hit hard. She began selling her designer shoes, then her handbags, then her TV. Her friends at least the ones who used to brag about rolling with a tech queen, gradually stopped picking her calls. The shame was too loud. She couldn't walk the streets without seeing people whisper. In taxis, conductors would laugh and say, "No, be the girl way slapper ogre, be that." At supermarkets, she caught people recording her with their phones. And each night, she sat in silence, alone, wondering how one single slap could destroy everything. One evening, sitting on the floor of her now half-empty apartment, Monica stared at a small plastic bottle. It was poison, bought from a roadside store. She had no strength left, no hope. Her heart was heavy with regret, shame, and the echoes of lost dreams. "I just wanted a better life," she whispered through tears. "I didn't mean to destroy myself." She raised the bottle to her lips, her hand shaking. And then knock, knock, knock. It was loud, urgent. She froze. Knock, knock, knock. Still holding the bottle, she walked to the door. Her body was weak, her feet cold against the floor. When she opened it, two men in black suits stood outside. One of them stepped forward and said, "Are you Miss Monica Anderson?" She nodded slowly, confused. "You're needed immediately. Mr. Benjamin Benson sent us." Her eyes widened in panic. Why? Why now? What does he want? But they didn't explain. "Please come with us," one of them said gently. "It's urgent." 30 minutes later, Monica was lying unconscious in a hospital bed. The poison had already taken effect before the knock. Her body gave out shortly after the car ride started. The guards had rushed her to the emergency unit. There, a team of doctors worked tirelessly, trying to reverse the damage. At the edge of the hallway, Benjamin sat in silence. He had found out minutes before she drank the poison. His secretary had seen a concerning comment Monica posted online. Something dark, desperate. He had quickly sent his team to check on her, and thank God, they arrived in time. Now, as Benjamin looked through the glass window of the ICU, watching the same woman who had slapped him now fighting for her life, he felt something twist in his chest. He had every reason to ignore her. She had embarrassed him, lied to him, disgraced his company. But now, all of that seemed so small compared to the sight in front of him. A young woman, broken and alone, who needed saving. And somehow, deep down, he felt responsible for her fall. Not because he sacked her, but because her story had never been just about pride. It had been about pain, too. Hidden pain. Pain he had ignored in his search for kindness. The doctor came out and removed his gloves. "She's stable now," he said, But barely. She was very lucky. Benjamin let out a long breath. Keep her here. Don't let her pay for anything. And, when she wakes up, I want to speak to her. The smell of antiseptic filled the hospital room. The beeping from the heart monitor was soft, steady, almost like a lullaby, keeping time with Monica's weak breath. She stirred slowly, her eyelids fluttering open like someone waking from a nightmare. The ceiling above her was white. Too white. The light too bright. Her head ached, her throat felt dry, and her body was heavier than she remembered. At first, she couldn't remember what had happened. Then it all rushed back. The rejection, the shame, the poison, the knock on the door. Tears welled in her eyes as her fingers clutched the bedsheet. She had tried to end it all, and failed. But before she could get lost in regret, the door creaked open gently. She turned her head, and there he was, Benjamin Benson, wearing a plain shirt and jeans, no tie, no office air about him, just a man with eyes full of quiet concern. Monica tried to sit up, but her body protested. She winced. Don't, he said softly, walking to the chair beside her bed. Just rest. There was a heavy silence between them, not awkward, but thick, with unspoken thoughts. I thought I was dead, she whispered. You almost were, Benjamin replied. Her lips quivered. Why did you save me? After what I did, after how I lied, embarrassed you, ruined everything for myself. Benjamin looked at her for a long moment. Then he leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. Because everyone deserves a second chance, even those who don't think they do. Her eyes locked with his. But I failed your test. You wanted to find kind people. I was cruel, proud, unforgiving. Why didn't you just let me go? Benjamin leaned back and folded his arms. You know, when I left the market that day after your slap, I was angry. Not just because of you, but because I started to believe that maybe my father was wrong, that people don't change, that being kind doesn't matter anymore. He paused, then added, but when I saw what happened to you, when I saw how fast everything crumbled, I realized something else. Yes, you were proud. Yes, you were wrong. But you were also broken. And broken people often hurt others before they realize they're hurting themselves too. Monica's lips trembled. I wasn't always like that, she said quietly. Growing up, we were poor. My father died when I was 9. My mum sold vegetables by the roadside. I worked hard to escape that life. I told myself I'd never go back. But somewhere along the way, I became everything I hated. Benjamin said nothing for a moment. Then, and now? Monica looked out the window, her voice barely a whisper. I just want to live a life I can be proud of again. I don't want to be the woman who judged others without knowing their story. I don't want to be remembered for that slap. I want to be remembered for something good. Benjamin nodded slowly. Then he stood up and pulled a brown envelope from his back pocket. He placed it on her bedside table. What's this? She asked. A new opportunity, he said. There's a foundation I started last year. The Benson Initiative. We help the poor, train young people in tech, feed communities. I want you to join the team. Monica's eyes widened. Me? But after everything, he shrugged. You've already seen what hate can do. Maybe you're the best person to teach others about what love can fix. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she covered her mouth. I don't deserve this, she said, sobbing. No one ever really does, Benjamin said. But that's the point of grace. 2 months later, Monica stood on a stage at the Lagos Youth Empowerment Conference, wearing a bright yellow dress and holding a microphone. Her voice was strong, steady, but laced with emotion. I was once someone who judged people by their looks. I thought success gave me the right to treat others with less respect. Until I lost everything and learned the hard way that what truly matters isn't the size of your paycheck, but the size of your heart. The crowd was silent, listening, absorbing her words. She continued, if you can't give money, give kindness. If you can't give food, give love. And if you can't understand someone's journey, don't condemn it. Just be gentle. Because some people are not what they appear to be. She took a deep breath. I judged a man I thought was a beggar. I slapped him. I insulted him. But he was a billionaire in disguise, a man who was looking for someone to help so he could change their life. That person could have been me, but I failed the test. Yet somehow, he gave me a second chance, and that chance changed me. A standing ovation erupted from the crowd. Reporters snapped pictures. Youths cheered. Some even cried. That day, Monica Anderson was no longer remembered as the woman who slapped her billionaire boss. She became the face of redemption, a living story of how grace can rewrite shame. But little did she know, the biggest twist in her story was still to come. Months had passed since the world last heard of the Monica Anderson scandal, but now they knew her for something greater. She had become a symbol of changer, national speaker, a youth mentor, a growing force in charity and tech empowerment across Nigeria. The same face that once trended with mockery now graced magazine covers with headlines like, "The Woman Who Rose from Shame." From slap to spotlight, Monica's second chance. Kindness reborn, Monica Anderson's new mission. She had taken the offer to join the Benson Initiative and poured her whole heart into it. She helped build coding programs for street kids, organized monthly outreach to feed the hungry, and visited schools to preach the message of compassion. Everywhere she went, she told her story, not hiding the worst parts, but using them as fuel to inspire. And quietly, behind the scenes, Benjamin watched. He never pressured her, never reminded her of the slap, never once said, "I told you so." He allowed her space to grow, fail, and rise. But still, something was building between them, something unspoken. Each meeting they had, whether at outreach events or board meeting, carried a tension neither of them could explain. They'd lock eyes for a second too long. They'd smile in moments that felt heavier than laughter. And sometimes, when she didn't know he was watching, Benjamin would quietly admire how far she had come. One cool evening, after they had wrapped up a youth workshop in Abuja, Monica stood alone outside the event center, gazing at the orange sky. Her heels were off, her voice was hoarse, but her spirit was at peace. Benjamin joined her, hands in his pockets. "You keep surprising me," he said softly. She turned and smiled. "I'm just doing what you gave me the chance to do." "No," he said. "You're doing far more than I ever expected." They stood in silence, side by side. Then he said something that made her heart skip. "You once told me you always wanted a better life. Is this it?" She nodded. "Yes, but I didn't realize that the better life I was chasing wasn't about money or power. It was about meaning and peace and," she paused, "kindness." Benjamin smiled. "You know," he said, "I still remember what you said back then, about meeting me for the first time. How you hoped I'd ask you out." Her face flushed. "Please, let's never speak of that again." But he chuckled. "Why not? That day, I thought you were pretending. But now I see a woman who's completely different." Monica looked up at him, her voice small. "Different enough for what?" He took a deep breath. "Different enough to start again. With me." Her breath caught. She wanted to speak, but the tears in her eyes said everything first. Benjamin stepped closer and gently took her hand. "I'm not asking for your past. I already know it. I'm asking if we can write the next chapter, together." There, under the slowly darkening sky, Monica whispered the answer that would change both their lives. Yes. 1 year later. The wedding was small but powerful. Family, friends, and media stood in stunned joy as Monica Anderson, the woman once known for slapping a beggar, walked down the aisle in a flowing white gown, this time toward the man she once insulted, humiliated, and unknowingly slapped in the middle of a marketplace. Benjamin Benson, her boss, her redeemer, her husband. The internet exploded again, but this time with messages of awe and wonder. Love wins. Who knew the man she slapped would be her soulmate? From disgrace to grace, Monica's story will live forever. Together, Monica and Benjamin expanded the Benson Initiative to other African countries. They built schools, created scholarships, and launched kindness campaigns that reached millions. In interviews, Monica never hid her past. She told it over and over, not to relive her mistake, but to remind the world that no matter how far you fall, a second chance can still lift you to the stars. And her final message, at the National Youth Summit, brought the entire audience to tears. If you can't give money, give kind words. If you can't fix someone's story, don't be the reason it gets worse. And if someone appears poor or broken, remember, they might just be a billionaire in disguise, looking for a heart pure enough to trust. If you like this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.